Every culture has bread, but it's different in every country. In France, baguettes are state-regulated, and the best are delivered directly to the Elysee Palace. Italian ciabatta was invented by a race car driver who left sports for baking, and Lavash is so ancient, one could say it was baked when the dinosaurs were still around. Today we'll talk about bread in different countries, its most famous varieties, and how they came to be. French baguette is not just popular in France, it's literally enshrined in law. In 1993, France adopted the Bread Decree, which clearly defines what a real French baguette should be. Only 4 ingredients are allowed: flour, water, yeast, and salt. No preservatives, enhancers, or additives, strictly traditional way. There are several accounts of how the baguette got its recognizable shape. One legend says the elongated bread came about at the time of Napoleon so that soldiers could carry it in their pockets. Another version is connected with the builders of the Paris metro. They were forbidden to carry knives, so they needed bread that could be easily broken by hand. But the real reason is probably much more pragmatic. In 1920, France passed a law prohibiting bakers from working before 4 in the morning. Baking large quantities of round loaves became more difficult, but the long baguette, which baked faster, immediately became the best option. In France, a baguette is a daily necessity. They buy it every morning and usually only crumbs remain by the evening. Almost 90% of the French admit that they cannot bring a baguette home in one piece, breaking it off along the way. In France, baguettes are rarely cut with a knife, they typically break it by hand. The most popular way to eat it is simply with butter and cheese. If the baguette has become stale, which happens very quickly, it's not thrown away but turned into croutons or added to traditional French onion soup. So croutons are essentially pieces of dried baguette, or as some may say, rusks. The French are so serious about their bread that they hold a competition for the best baguette every year in Paris. The winner not only receives an honorary title but also signs an official contract to supply baguettes to the Elysee Palace. In 2022, the French baguette was officially recognized as part of the UNESCO Cultural Heritage. This is not surprising since more than 6 billion baguettes are sold in France every year, with 100 baguettes eaten per year by an average French person. The shelf life of a real baguette is only a few hours. This is why the French often go to the bakery twice a day. Italian ciabatta. Italians know a thing or two about good bread, and ciabatta is one of the best examples of that. Unlike the classic French baguettes or fluffy buns, ciabatta looks like it was slightly squashed before baking. And it's not an accident. Ciabatta means slipper in Italian, because the shape resembles a soft carpet slipper. Ciabatta is a relatively new bread. While the baguette is hundreds of years old, this Italian favorite appeared only in 1982. Ciabatta was invented by Arnaldo Cavallari, a professional racing driver and 4-time Italian champion. After retiring from professional sports, he began experimenting in his bakery in the town of Adria near Venice. To prepare a soft dough with high water content, he used his own flour rich in protein. After numerous experiments, Arnaldo got a very tasty bread in the shape of a slipper. He filed for copyright and registered the product name Ciabatta Polisana in 1983 and Ciabatta Italiana a couple of years later. Ciabatta's secret is in its high hydration dough, which makes it wet and sticky, but it's also what creates those very large holes inside the bread after baking. Unlike classic Italian bread, ciabatta is not kneaded for a long time, but simply folded and stretched, creating that slightly flattened shape. In Italy, ciabatta is most often used for making sandwiches. Unlike American burger buns, this bread does not get soggy and holds the filling well, so it's used for the famous panini, Italian hot sandwiches with cheese, prosciutto, and fresh tomatoes. Although ciabatta is young by the standards of bread history, it has already become a classic. Today it can be found all over the world, but if you want to try the real thing, it's best to go to northern Italy, where it's baked with traditional recipe and each bakery adds its own secret ingredient, be it olive oil, whole grain flour, or even a drop of wine. Lavash is not just bread, but something you can roll up and stuff with whatever you want. It's so ancient that it is mentioned in Sumerian texts. To some, it reminds a sheet of parchment from an ancient manuscript. For others, it is a miracle of nature, a treasure of the kitchen. The history of lavash dates back more than 6,000 years, and during all this time, its recipe has not changed at all. Lavash still contains only flour, water and salt. This thin, elastic bread is popular in many countries. The Oxford University Food Guide defines lavash as an ancient dish that originated in the region of Caucasus and Iran. A number of sources define lavash as a dish of Armenian origin. In 2014, UNESCO added Armenian lavash to the list of intangible cultural heritage. The main feature of lavash is the method of preparation. Real traditional lavash is baked in a tandoor, a deep clay oven, the walls of which are heated to incredible temperatures. The dough is rolled out onto large, almost transparent sheets. Then they are literally slapped onto the hot surface of the oven. After a minute, the dough is covered with bubbles and browned, and after a couple of minutes, it can be taken out. It's important not to overcook it, otherwise it will turn into a resemblance of a giant cracker. By the way, it's the ability of lavash to become crispy and soften again when moistened that makes it ideal for storage. In ancient times, it was baked in large batches at once and stacked in piles. To restore its elasticity, it was simply sprinkled with water and it became soft again. Lavash is also the basis for dozens of dishes. In Armenia, it's traditionally served with cheese and fresh herbs. In Georgia and Azerbaijan, it's used to make rolls with meat and spices, and of course it is lavash that is used to prepare authentic shawarma. Mantou is a type of Chinese bread or traditional steamed bun made from wheat flour, water, and yeast. They have a soft and airy texture and a slightly sweet taste and are often eaten as a side dish to main dishes or as a separate dish. Unlike the usual baked bread, they are steamed, which makes them especially tender and moist inside. According to legend, Mantou dates back to the Three Kingdoms period, 3rd century AD. The story goes that the Chinese military leader Zhig Liang, returning from a military campaign, had to cross a river, but the locals said that to do so, he had to sacrifice a human head. To avoid the sacrifice, Liang ordered large wheat buns to be made that resembled heads and threw them into the river. This is how the legend says that the name Mantou, which means barbarian's head, came about. Over time, Mantou spread throughout China and became an important part of Chinese cuisine, especially in the northern regions, where rice is more difficult to grow than wheat. In the southern regions of China, people traditionally eat more rice, when in the north they eat more wheat products such as Mantou. Today, Mantou remain a popular dish in China, especially in northern provinces. They can be either savory or filled with something like red beans, meat, or sesame. Mantou are also often served fried. They are fried until golden brown and eaten with condensed milk. Arabic bread is a traditional bread in the Middle East and North Africa. Its most famous type is khubz, which in Arabic simply means bread. However, in different regions it may be called differently and it has several varieties. Khubz now is a flat, round, traditional Moroccan bread made by recipes passed down from generation to generation. Khubz's history goes back to ancient times, long before the arrival of Islam in Morocco. Moroccan bread was baked in different ways depending on the region and available ingredients. Today, the main ingredients are wheat flour, water, milk, eggs, yeast, and spices. Bread has been known in the Arab world since Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt. Archaeological finds show that people in what is now modern Arab countries were making wheat flatbread as early as 12,000 years ago. Initially, it was baked on hot stones, in ashes, or in special clay ovens, buns. Over time, different baking methods emerged, including tandoor and modern ovens. The most popular type of Arabic bread is pita or Arabic pita, sometimes called khubz Arabi. It is a round flat bread that forms a pocket as it puffs up that can be stuffed with fillings. This effect is achieved with high baking temperature. The dough quickly puffs up, leaving an empty space inside as it cools. The main difference of Arabic pita is its structure. Unlike a baguette, it does not have a crispy crust, and unlike lavash, it's not as thin. Its special feature is the pocket that makes it so convenient for filling, such as falafel, meat, vegetables, hummus, and other ingredients. Challah is a special bread in Jewish cuisine typically eaten on ceremonial occasions. It's baked and fried to be served for Shabbat dinner. Even if you've never been to Israel, you've definitely seen this golden bread with a glossy crust. Unlike regular white bread, challah has a light sweetness, a soft texture, and a crumb so airy you'd rather use your hands rather than a knife. But why a braid? It's not that simple. In the classic version, the challah is woven from 3 strands, which symbolize truth, peace, and justice. But there are even more complex versions from 6 to even 12 strands. This tradition of braiding goes back centuries and makes challah special because in each house the braid is slightly different, but the meaning remains the same. Real challah is made from wheat flour, eggs, water, butter, and honey or sugar. This is what makes it soft, slightly sweet, and very aromatic. Before putting the bread in the oven, it's always brushed with egg to achieve that glossy crust. Then it's sprinkled with sesame or poppy seeds on top. In some regions, they use black cumin seeds. Importantly, 2 challahs are always placed on the Shabbat table. This is due to the ancient tradition which said that when the Jews wandered the desert, God gave them a double portion of manna every Friday, enough to last for 2 days. This ritual is still alive today, as well as covering the bread with a special cloth, symbolizing the sand that covered the manna in the desert. Today, challah has gone beyond religious traditions and has become simply one of the most beloved types of bread in Israel. It can be found in every bakery, and it is used not only for sandwiches but also for French toasts, bread pudding, or even sweet versions with cinnamon and raisins. American bagel. How did it end up on our list? This bread actually also has a very interesting history. It has come a long way from the Jewish quarters of Eastern Europe to the iconic American breakfast. The bagel recipe arrived in New York with Israeli immigrants in the 1880s. It became so popular that even an association of bagel producers was created to regulate and control the production process. In 1920, one of the merchants came up with the idea of adding cheese and salmon to the recipe. To this day, the salmon bagel is one of the main gastronomic symbols of New York. You've probably seen a salmon and Philadelphia cheese bagel. You can watch our episode from Philadelphia to learn how this cheese came to be. To make a bagel, one way we know it's not enough to just bake it. First, it has to be boiled before being sent to the oven. Thanks to this, the dough acquires a dense texture, the crust becomes shiny, and the inside of the bread remains soft. This method appeared in medieval Poland, where Jewish bakers came up with a new way of baking that allowed bread to stay fresh longer. So in the early 20th century, bagels spread in New York, where Jewish bakers began opening first bagel shops. At the same time, a bagel trade union was formed which strictly controlled production. One couldn't simply bake and sell bagels without an official permit. But when the automatic bagel machine was invented in the 1960s, this bread became widespread and eaten everywhere. Now, bagels are a legendary breakfast in the US and Canada. They are most often served with cream cheese and salmon, but there are endless different types of fillings. In Montreal, for example, they bake special Canadian bagels. They're sweeter, smaller in size, and baked on a wood fire, which gives them a characteristic aroma. New Yorkers still debate which bagels are better, New York or Montreal. Friends, if you enjoyed this video about bread, please like it and subscribe to see more. Don't forget to visit our website smaps.com for a comprehensive list of educational institutions around the globe, from summer camps to the world's best universities in 40 countries.